Hey guys, welcome to another video review, as a matter of fact. And today I'm going to be finally doing the final review for the SimpliSafe security cameras. And I'm going to kind of structure this video like this. I'm going to tell you about my experiences. These are personal experiences. I've had this camera on my service, on my system, I'm wanting to say for a year, give or take, thereabouts. So I'm wanting to say it's in the neighborhood of a year. So I have had plenty of experience with it. So I'll kind of just tell you what I think about it, or basically my experiences, and then we'll talk about the actual device itself. And then the final thing will be whether or not, kind of my final thoughts about it overall, and whether or not it's something that that makes sense for you. Hopefully by the end of this review you have a better understanding of how this thing works, because I think there's a lot of misconceptions and confusion about the device, and there was for me too. Even after having the SimpliSafe system for a couple of years prior to adding the cameras, I felt like I pretty well knew what these were, especially since I've reviewed many security cameras. So I kind of thought I had an idea of what this thing was going to be, how the integration with the alarm worked and all that kind of stuff, and it turns out that some of that stuff I was not correct on. I wasn't right. So I did a previous video, an unboxing video and a setup video of this camera previously. I will link to that video here, because I'm going to skip that, and for the purposes of saving some time. So I'm not going to go over how to install it or get it going. Somewhere on this screen will be a link to that video when you actually purchase this and you need step-by-step advice and the tricks and stuff like that to get this thing installed super smooth. I installed two of them at the same time. One of them went buttery smooth and the other one had a minor hitch. I go over in that video kind of what I did to fix that. I want to answer a couple of these questions that I get a lot about this device. One of the biggest ones, I guess, to start off is what you get in the box is just a piece of paper, I believe. It was like it's just a little some brief instructions that basically tell you where to download the app, because everything that this camera does is controlled via the app. So you get that and just a box kind of thing. You get a little power plug, similar to the charger for your phone kind of thing, just a little cube that powers it. I would have showed you that, but it's plugged into where this is normally plugged in, and I just simply didn't want to dig it out. But it's like any other power cube you've seen. The power cord, people have asked me how long is this power cord. This power cord is 10 feet. I measured it myself, and it comes out to 10 feet. That's how long the power cord is. Like I said, how this thing works is everything is controlled in the app. And I would show you the app and specifically how it works, but again, for whatever reason, I've mentioned this before in previous SimpliSafe reviews, is they plaster your home address on every screen, just everywhere. I can't really show that on camera without a whole lot of editing, and I'm just not wanting to go through the trouble of blurring out my address, and hopefully I got it all on every screen, and just so I'm just going to briefly explain it. Everything is controlled within the app. All your alarm settings and everything like that, even the cameras, are all controlled. There's a timeline that lists each and every occurrence that the camera records. Set this camera up to record anytime that it senses motion. You can set it up to where it will only record if it senses motion and there's an alarm event, which is how I have it set up. because I had it set up to where it would notify me of every time it sensed motion, and that got kind of old because you're walking around in your house and stuff, and it was, it was constantly, alerting me that it was sensing motion, and that gets old after a while, so I turned that off. You can select the settings. The settings are individually set for each camera. You can set them differently. For instance, the camera that I have outside in my garage is set to trigger on motion all the time, because nobody goes out there. Nobody goes out there but me, so it's set to trigger all the time. You can, all the settings and everything are completely set separately. You can set the motion sensing to low, medium, or high. You can set the privacy shutter to where if you're home and the alarm is in the home mode, you can set to whether or not the shutter on the camera is open or closed for privacy. You can set so the camera is only active and can actually see in your house when the alarm is set to the away mode. That's how I have mine set, except for the garage. The garage is on all the time. Like, I leave the camera in the garage set to all the time. So if it sees motion, it can record events and that kind of thing, even if the alarm's not triggered. And then you can also set it to where if the camera is, if you turn the camera off, you can manually turn the cameras off. You can also set the shutter to close or stay closed in that mode too. So there's a lot of different options for your privacy's sake. Like, this camera is not just willy-nilly turned on and people staring at you and stuff. A lot of people have concerns about having security cameras in their house for fear that you're walking around your house in your birthday suit, like you always do, and somebody on the other end of the line is pointing and laughing at you, or something. So that's not the case. So I assure you. However, on that note, I do want to mention that you can set the camera for the monitoring service if there is an alarm event, that they are able to look in on the camera and see what's going on to determine on their own whether or not there is if it's a false alarm, or if there's actually somebody broke into your house, so they have information that they can give in real time to the police. So there is that option. You don't have to use it, and so that's a nice option. I personally leave that on, because there has been a couple of times where the alarm has been triggered and no idea what's going on, and with that set to on, the alarm monitoring service can look in on the cameras and determine whether or not there's an issue before they even call you. So personally, I like that. You can have push notifications to your phone that are instantaneous anytime you have the camera sees anything. I really like that. The night vision you can set to always be on. Like, if you have a camera that's all the time in the dark, like in a I don't know, a shed or a room where you never have the lights on, you can set the camera to stay in night vision mode. You can set it to never go into night vision mode, or you can set it to auto, where it will switch back and forth on its own, which is how I've been running mine. There is a status light on the top of the camera right here that's pretty obvious, and each one of these different colored lights means different things. When it's solid blue, that just means that your camera is connected to the internet and everything is okay. It doesn't stay blue all the time. It periodically will light up blue just to, I'm assuming that the system is designed to check the status of the camera from time to time. So from time to time, the status light will come on and light up blue, letting you know that that it's online and working. If it's blinking blue, if it's flashing, this means flashing. If it's flashing like this means somebody's looking in on you at that particular time. There's no way to view the camera without the camera doing this. So that's like one of those safety features for you people out there that are privacy conscious. you're going to notice this. If the camera is doing this, it's on and it is being viewed, okay? And then a solid yellow light is that the camera is updating itself from time to time. There are software updates and it's completely seamless. It updates the camera and you don't have to do anything at all. As far as I know, I've never seen it do an update, so it must do it at, you know, late at night, most likely while you're sleeping. Okay, now during night vision mode, there's this little tiny pinpointy red light that's on when in night vision mode, and what that is an infrared light that illuminates the area so it can see in the dark. So that's what that is. And then there are, you know, the errors: the blinking red light, the blinking yellow light, and the white light and the blinking white light. The white lights are for setup purposes. You'll never see those again once they're set up. That's pretty much in a nutshell. This is an actual Wi-Fi camera. So many people get this confused. This is a wireless Wi-Fi camera. What that means is this connects directly to your access point. This is just a power cable. That's all this is. But this is a 100% wireless camera. It does not even have the option to be wired. This right here is the sensor, the motion sensor. But this is a wireless camera as opposed to you know, some other cameras that I reviewed where people got it confused because, well, no reason to get into that. This is completely wireless other than the fact that the camera has to be powered, okay? And then I get questions that I don't understand how I get, but, you know, they'll go like, well, how can it be wireless if you have to plug it in? Well, there are fully wireless cameras out there, but you know, like Arlo, and I think there's a couple others. I haven't personally tested those out, but I'm just going to say, you know, just from a practical standpoint and experience, that if you don't have your camera plugged in, that's going to be a, you know, if you don't have power to your camera and you're running it off of batteries, that just seems like a big hassle. It's just probably not worth it. This is just, you know, way easier. Then you don't have to worry about it. You plug this in and you forget all about it. You don't have to do anything else. So one of the questions that needs to be answered that you may not even have thought to ask, so I'm going to answer it now. This is an indoor camera only. It has you cannot put this outside. It's not waterproof in any way. It's not meant to go on the outside of your house. Technically, I mean, you can place this anywhere you want, but not a good choice for an outdoor camera for a bunch of different reasons. So that being said, this is indoor only. That's what it's designed for. That's how it's integrated with the alarm, and that's, you know, pretty much how you have to work it. Okay, now one of the things that people want to know after they get this going, let's say by, I don't know how, somebody was in your house, for instance, when you set the alarm, and the alarm is set to away. That's when the motion sensing on this thing activates and comes to life, in, you know, in the way that most people configure it anyway. So this thing's sensing motion. Somebody's already in your house and somehow they're not, you know, around the motion sensors or whatever, and only trip the motion sensing on the camera by itself without tripping the alarm in any way, just tripping the camera motion sensor. Does the alarm go off? And the answer to that question is no, it does not. So you cannot use a camera for a replacement for a motion sensor or a glass break sensor or something like that, because this does not activate when it just senses motion. Like if it senses, I mean, I think I've covered that. I don't want to. I'm hoping that I'm being clear on that, because I don't want to get a bunch of questions on it. You know, if this senses, like say your dog somehow, like you have a large dog, because it would have to be a large dog. If you have a large dog and the motion sensor on this triggers and you get a notification, that does not set off your alarm. Your alarm does not go off unless one of the sensors for your actual home alarm goes off. So the integration of this camera is the on and off, the different statuses of the alarm, the away, the home, the off. That's where the integration for the camera comes in. So for instance, when you get home from work and you disarm your alarm to come in the house, that's a event. So the cameras come to life for any event. So when you come in your house, it starts recording you coming in the house for, I think it's 15 seconds or something like that, up to 30. I think I've seen videos up to 30 seconds or so. So that's what happens when you come on and turn the alarm off. Any alarm event, is what I'm trying to say, turns the motion sensing on if you have it set to only come on in different modes. So basically, this thing will record and save to the cloud any event. Okay, so that's where the integration comes in. Other than that, the other integration is just all in your app. So you can control your alarm settings, your alarm on and off, turning everything on and off, blah blah, turning the cameras on and off. Everything takes place in the app. It's all integrated together. So one of the person in my comment, made a comment, well, I'm just going to get XYZ camera, it's cheaper and I don't have to pay for service, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, but it's not integrated. I mean, the purpose of this camera is the integration, the seamless integration with the alarm system. I have other security cameras too, but much prefer the integration of the camera with the alarm system coexisting together, as opposed to having to turn on, off, change settings, on, off, blah, blah, separately. So that's why you buy a camera like this. Now, as far as the cost goes, now this is the thing I got wrong last time, because I didn't know. I just got it, and now I know. So I'm going to pass it along to you. What does this cost? Normally, if you don't have the highest level monitoring package, which is the $25 package, anything lower than the $25 a month, you pay $5 extra per camera for the functionality of the camera. You can do that. That doesn't make any sense to me. But if you have the $25 full package with the monitoring and the alerts and the on-app setting changes, all the features for $25 a month, is way cheaper than almost anybody else, then you get 4 of these cameras included in that price. You can buy up to 4 of these cameras and they don't charge you anything extra for the service. So that's a no-brainer. That's seriously a no-brainer. That means if you don't have one of these cameras and you have a SimpliSafe security system, I don't know what you're doing with your life. I really don't. I mean, why wouldn't you? These things are cheap. I got these on a smoking sale where they were 50% off or a BOGO. They were a BOGO. So I got one camera, got another camera for a BOGO. Pretty happy with that deal. So for $100, I got 2 cameras. Normally these are $100 a piece, and still at $100 a piece, I'm still liking it. Okay, I think I've covered everything as far as my experience with it and all situations that I can think of, I hope. If I didn't, by all means, comment down below and I will try and answer your question as best as I can, or somebody else will come along and answer your question for you, I assure you. And if I get anything wrong, they will correct me down below as well. So make sure you're not just watching the videos. It might be a good idea to get the latest, greatest information down below. Okay? So I think what I'm going to do now is set this up for the tabletop, and we'll kind of just go over the device itself. Be right back. Okay, guys, let's go over the device itself. This is the motion sensor right here. This is the camera element. This is the back of the camera where everything plugs in. This slides off. See if I can give you an idea how this works, but this slides off to where you can plug in your power cord right there. Let's see if you can see that. So that's where you plug in your power cord. It just slides into that little USB connection, and then you slide this on, and you got to kind of feed the power cable through this hole right here, so it sits you know, flat on a counter. Now this right here is the code that you can use with the app to automatically set it up. You'll see that in the instructional video. So that's pretty much it. Here's that LED. This is where that LED light is right here that lights up with the different modes. It's right there. Now, some of the things that I don't like about this camera, some of the things that I think that they could improve on, is that this bracket that it sits on when it sits down, you know, on your counter like this. Let's tilt it up so you guys can see it. But when it's sitting flat on whatever space you want to put it on, this is heavy and it works really well in that mode, but I wish it had some way to mount it on a wall. I felt like I really need a way to mount this on the wall. It should have some sort of wall mounting option. That's one of the things it lacks. It does have audio to where you can hear when you look in on this camera, you can hear what's going on, you can hear the sounds, but it does not have two-way communication, and so you can't talk back. You can hear, but you can't talk back. What would be a reason to have that? You know, say you've got a kid, you know, you're watching on the camera, him doing something he's not supposed to do after school. He's got friends in the house. He's not allowed to have friends in the house. You know, whatever it is, you can, you know, scare the bejesus out of them and talk right over the camera. Some of my other security cameras, I think, as a matter of fact, most of my other security cameras that I've tested and reviewed have that feature, and I find it to be extremely useful. I use this particular camera that I have in my hand right here to monitor my guinea pigs when I'm not at home. Yes, I said guinea pigs. So I like to look in on my beloved pets while I'm at work, and with that feature, my guinea pigs respond to my voice, and I'd like to be able to talk to them. I'd like, you know, I can look in on them, and you know, I just want to be able to say, you know, hey, what's up, how's it going, you know, everything okay, you know, and then they could, you know, answer back and stuff like that. So I really miss that feature. I really miss the wall mount feature. Let's talk about the good. The good of this camera, out of all the security cameras that I've tested, the night vision on this camera is the best I've seen. I will show you some clips as I talk right now of the night vision and some you know, samples of real video that I downloaded from the app that were actually recorded and that I downloaded through the app. I'll show you those while I'm talking. So the night vision is excellent with this camera. Another thing that is also excellent with this camera is the motion sensing is amazing on this camera. I don't know how they've worked that out so well. This camera is in close proximity to my guinea pigs every day. I mean, this camera is pointed directly at them, and they never set this camera off. They never trigger the motion sensing of this camera. As a matter of fact, they never have. It's set on medium, so it takes you know, whatever they're using for the motion sensing. It's definitely has to be a good sized person. Motion from a person, or I'm not even sure a large dog. I'm guessing a large dog could set it off, but that's just a guess. I don't have a large dog that I've ever tested that with. But needless to say, you don't get a lot of false triggers from motion sensing with this camera. Like you know, it's one of my biggest complaints with lesser security cameras is that they're just constantly going off, non-stop. Like, you might as well just leave the thing and just loop recording. It goes off so much. This does not do that. It seems to only go off for a good reason, and I really appreciate that. It's something that I really appreciate. When you consider the integration with the SimpliSafe alarm, and you consider how well this thing actually works, it does have some, you know, some drawbacks. Like I said, the mounting options are a big drawback for me. You know, so I have to come up with my own mounting, you know, for it, which I've had to do in my garage. Not ideal. I think it's a no-brainer that this thing should have a wall mount of some kind. I think that they don't, because they definitely want to discourage you from putting these things outside. I think that's just another way of discouraging you from doing that. If you have the SimpliSafe alarm system and you are wondering whether you should get this, I think it's a no-brainer, especially if you have the $25 monitoring service. If you have the $25 monitoring service, I really highly suggest that you get, you know, a couple of these cameras. They really are some peace of mind. Another thing this camera excels at is the video quality of it is really good. You know, the streaming video quality of this camera is excellent. I think it's, when compared to other cameras that I've reviewed, and I would say that I've reviewed probably more than most, the video quality of these cameras are really good. I've never had any problems with it. They're not quirky. They don't disconnect, reconnect, disconnect, reconnect. They don't do any of those things that I've had problems before many times with other cameras. These just simply work. Exceptional product. I think that maybe in revision 2 they kind of fix some of the shortcomings, but the way they sit now, they are a no-brainer if you have the SimpliSafe alarm system. I'm going to give them, you know, 2 thumbs up. I would say that they're an 8 out of 10. I really like them, and as long as I have the SimpliSafe alarm system, I'm definitely going to be using these. I'm going to wait for another sale. I'm hoping that these go back on sale again for Christmas like they did last year, or around Christmas-ish, and I'm going to pick up 2 more. So I'm going to max them out, so I'll have 4 cameras going. And oh, one more thing that I just now remembered. This thing saves your events for a long period of time. It said, I think it said 30 days. That's off the top of my head. Don't quote me on that. But I was just scrolling back through my videos before I made this video, just to kind of, you know, see if everything works, as you know, just to make sure everything's worked. There's no quirkiness or anything like that I wanted to cover in the video. You know, so I really went over it with a fine-tooth comb. I could find no flaws. There are no issues. It worked perfectly. I was able to go back all the way, I was able to go back past 30 days, and I could watch videos from a long ways back, and that's how I downloaded some of the videos that you watched in this video. The samples are from me downloading those videos. I really highly recommend this, guys. I mean, I can't find any reason to say not to get it, or anything to tell you that you need to look out for. It has been a fantastic experience all the way around. So with that said, guys, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. And if you have any questions, like always, comment down below, and we'll catch you on the next one. And thanks for watching. I hope this was entertaining and mildly useful, mostly useful. Anyway, we'll catch you on the next one. On that end.